My favorite quote, I believe it's my favorite quote from Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, is, "Love points the way and law makes the way possible." I love this so much because what it means is all we have to do is follow love's lead. If we want to be love in action, if we have declared ourselves as people committed to spiritual living, all we've got to do is follow love. And yet we busy ourselves, don't we? We busy ourselves with figuring out how. We busy ourselves with figuring out how we're going to make it happen, how we are going to solve this problem or solve that problem, or get more of this or get more of that. And yet, love points the way, and law makes the way happen. And law, in this context, it just means there's a spiritual law in the universe. There's simply a thing of cause and effect, of resonant vibration and energy that will align itself with like resonant and vibrational energy that we have to do nothing to make happen. It is always in motion. And love is the thing that gives us that divine urge, that divine move towards the next right step. And the principle of cause and effect, this law, this universal law, this spiritual law, does all of the moving, creates the possible way, creates the set of circumstances so that this thing can come into being. Our job? Not to figure things out. We don't even have to busy ourselves with the hows. We just align ourselves with the love, with that feeling that just knows the next right step, with that great idea that has just popped into our head and gives us that ooh feeling, that bubbling up. That's love pointing us. And that's all we have to do. This is good news, friends. We don't have to work so hard. We just align ourselves with love and allow it to point us in the right direction. And one of these beautiful examples of this truth that love points the way is the story of Circles ABQ here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Albuquerque. It has been this incredible outpicturing of love in action. What I have been delighted to get to see is that over years, this thing has kind of come into fruition. I learned about Circles USA, the parent organization, back in 2016 is when I learned about it. And I started learning about this incredible process that people got to go through, the volunteers and these circle leaders, folks who were leading a circle of support out of poverty. And I was a whole body yes. Love moved in me and was like, we're doing this. This is happening. This is incredible. This is in alignment with what we teach. This is a beautifully thought out and prepared program for everybody involved to have a transformative experience. Like, it was awesome. And then the leadership, including myself, we got all caught up in the how. We got so caught up in the how that we got entirely in our way, and we stopped the process. And jumping forward to 2019, when the Leadership Council here decided that it would form a strategic planning committee to look at some more income streams for the center. And we looked at all kinds of things. We looked at turning this campus into an event rental space. We looked at putting in a commercial kitchen and then renting that out. I mean, we looked at all kinds of possibilities. And while that committee was meeting and researching and planning, these things kept happening. This incredible organization called Saffron Strand came into my cipher. We had a community member who had learned about them and started doing some volunteering for them that came in to talk to me about it. And next thing I know, I've got an email. I'm somehow on their newsletter list, and I never signed up, but I've gotten Saffron Strand's email. And then I meet the founder of Saffron Strand in an entirely different situation. And Saffron Strand is working with folks experiencing homeless and getting them work ready. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. And so a beautiful partnership began to develop. And then, out of the blue, the street news program here in Albuquerque, which is a newspaper written by, produced by, and sold by folks experiencing homelessness, contacted us and said they might be looking for space and they needed an editor. And then, all along the way, the Strategic Planning Committee is meeting and researching and looking for income. And then Scott Miller, the founder of Circles USA, reappears and is also looking for space and a place to have their main offices here in Albuquerque. And it was like, okay, love, okay, God, you are clearly pointing us in all of these ways towards serving folks experiencing poverty here in the Albuquerque area. I mean, it just became undeniable. Not at all what we thought was going to be the solution to finding more income streams. And yet, instead of getting in our way and trying to figure out the how, we just allowed love to move us. And that love pointing us moved us not only collectively, it moved us individually, finding ourselves in this incredible opportunity to be love in action through the Circle's work. Holy cow. And this work started years before, when Scott Miller himself was pointed by love to start this organization that has now moved through 70 cities across the country and has found its way right here to Albuquerque. Hello, I am Reverend Amani Malaika. I am so glad you are watching today. We have been thrilled to reach thousands over this last year through our online inspirational content. I am so excited about Spirit Speaks. I am so excited about all that our team is doing to transform the lives of people around the world. And I invite you to join us by supporting this work. You can text to give, the instructions are on the screen, and I am so grateful for every contribution you make. Thank you. Hello!
Hello. Hi.
So everyone, I want you to meet Scott Miller, who is one of our community members, piano player extraordinaire, really amazing human who founded the Circles program, which you're going to learn a little more about today. Maddie Suarez in the house, who is one of our prosperity priestesses, practitioner, and all-around awesome human. And Deborah Schoenbaum, who is one of our newest members. And I can't wait to talk about all the ways that Deborah is showing up as love in action these days through our community. So thank you guys for showing up today. And being willing to get on camera. Yay!
Oh, this is on camera?
So let's start with Deborah. So newest gets to go first.
Oh boy.
One of my favorite Ernest Holmes quotes is, "Love points the way, law makes the way possible." And so what that means to me is that there's this impulse that rises in us that sort of just is like, oh my God, I gotta go do that thing. And that's love pointing us, right?
Yeah.
So love pointed you to us.
Absolutely.
And this is really just in the last few weeks have you gotten a chance to be in person at any of our stuff.
Right.
So tell me about finding us online and then suddenly being one of our most active volunteers.
Well, obviously I was ready, and I really did feel called to be a part of everything here. I came here 4 years ago from California, moved here with my family, didn't know a lot of people. I was with one spiritual community for a little bit, wasn't really resonating, and I said, okay, what's next? But the leader of that spiritual group knew you and knew of the center and actually pointed me in this direction. Then the pandemic hit. So I think I came to one event back, it was an MLK celebration, and I, enjoyed everything, but then the shutdown happened shortly thereafter.
Right.
And so I started, I was like really grieving that I was, I got started and a little stalled, but then I saw that you were doing the services online and that there was lots of content that I could dive into, including spirit groups. And so there was a Black, Indigenous, and People of Color spirit group that got started, and I participated in that. And it came at a really good time because I was struggling with everything that was going on politically and socially and racially around the country.
Yeah.
And so I jumped in. And this last spirit group that we had, I actually co-hosted. So it was the third, BIPOC cohort that I joined in. And it was really cool. And now Circles is also calling to me. Scott and I are working on a project together. It looks like we're going to do a musical spirit group.
So cool!
Yeah, so the connections have just been incredible. And it was the right time, right place. Everything just kind of unfolded. And I know that was Spirit just carrying me through. Yeah.
Thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome.
All right, Maddie. So Maddie, you and I were in Foundations, or was it Beyond Limits?
It was a small group, so I don't think it was Foundations.
I think Maddie and I were in an accredited education class. Maybe 2007, 2008 together.
Yeah, most likely.
Long before I became a practitioner, and of course before I became a minister.
Yeah.
And then Maddie disappeared. I didn't see her for a really long time. And then Love pointed you back to us. So why don't you tell us about that?
I was here for a while and then I left for I think 4 years. And I came back, I don't know why. I just felt the urge to come back and I wanted to get back with the community that I had enjoyed very much before. And so I came back and kind of checked out Wednesdays first, and then there were a lot of changes at the center, and then you became the minister, the senior minister, and I took Foundations again, and I had already taken a bunch of classes, and so I just got in with this crew of people that were all decided to be practitioners, and we all just took all these classes, and I started getting very involved and volunteering for a million things and just very active here. And then I started practitioner studies, and I became a practitioner last September, right after the pandemic.
Last July.
July.
So we moved, your entire class had to move online, and you finished your practitioner licensing process totally
on Zoom,
online. Yeah.
On Zoom, all Zoom. Yeah, everything on Zoom. So that was kind of wild. So that's been my whole process. So I'm really excited that we're opening back up and changing things and getting to come back in because I have a million ideas that I want to do, and so I'm pretty excited about the future for us.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, Scott Miller in the house.
Yes.
So Scott, I don't think Scott remembers this, you guys, but Scott, I want to say it was 2018, and your mom had moved to New Mexico and was at the end of her life,
Right.
and it was rough.
Yeah.
And so you showed up, I believe it was a Wednesday night, at one of our Wednesday night gatherings in the
Right.
back. And you kind of showed up in a bit of a mess, but you just dived right in. And you stuck.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Well, I do remember it. And for me, when I first got involved with what became Circles, it was just my heart breaking about, if you ask anybody in our community, do you think we should have homelessness? Do you think kids should go hungry? I mean, is that a good idea on any level? Of course people are going to say no. And I just had the opportunity to just be exposed over and over and over again to people that were struggling just to do the basics. And I just felt like people need organized way to care about this. And so, I get excited about the center becoming this place in which we can organize our caring, not only for our own community to care, but to get the entire larger community to care in a way that they feel safe and productive with. So I've always loved circles, because we've been able to keep co-creating it in a way with people, people getting out of poverty, people trying to help people get out of poverty in ways that fit those people in their lives at that point in time. And it's universally, circles are something we all do anyway, but this is something we get to do and keep making up and make it appropriate and useful each and every time in a new way. So that's how I keep expressing my love in action. It's just like, let's set up another one of these and get more caring going on.
And I don't know if Scott remembers this, but I learned about circles in 2016. And we were under a different leadership at the time. And you and I and Rebecca Hiroka and Reverend Masano Hiroka, who were part of our team at the time, all got together, and you were teaching us about, like, this is how it works, this is what it could look like. And I knew immediately. I was like, this is it. This is the thing we should be doing. This is totally in alignment with our teaching. This is in alignment with the heart of this community. And I knew it. And then we all got wrapped up in our own shit and got in the way. And it fizzled out because, as Ernest says, love points the way, law makes the way possible. But in our humanness, love points the way and we get pumped and we're like, yes, this is the thing. And then we think we're going to make it possible. Ernest Holmes went on to say that evolution is the awakening of the soul to a recognition of its unity with the whole. The awakening of the soul to a recognition of its unity with the holy wholeness of all that is. And when we let love lead us, when we follow love's pointing finger in that next right step, what begins to happen is our ability to recognize the whole, our ability to embody that wholeness, our ability to include more into our understanding of the whole grows. It is through allowing love to move us that rising consciousness, that growing awareness happens, is through the move of love itself in our own consciousness, in our own lives. And when we talk about affirmative prayer in the science of mind in our teaching, we are talking about the kind of prayer that recognizes that there is only one. And we use that prayer not to make it happen, not to figure out the how. We use affirmative prayer so that we, in our own consciousness, can recognize the wholeness that we belong to. And we use that prayer so that we can get deeply convicted and awakened and enlivened by this truth, and so that it will move us in loving action. And I know for sure that is exactly what is happening for us individually in this circle's work, for us collectively in this circle's work, that this wholeness is bigger than what we thought it was several months ago, years ago. And because we have continued to come back to what is true, because we have continued to allow love to move us in the right direction, we've been moved into greater loving action, individually and as a community. You know, it is just the nature of love to expand, to grow, so that we can embody more and more of it, so that we can be expressions of it in greater and greater and bigger and lovelier ways. And one of the things that I've gotten to witness as we've gone through this process, because it's not been a fast process, is I was very interested in, is this something that is in the hearts of our members? Is this a move that is not just moving in me or moving in the leadership council or moving in the strategic planning committee? Is this moving in the hearts of all of our community? And we'll know that because we will see people be enlivened. We will see people moving towards this activity. We will see the individuals in our community being pointed by love towards this work. And oh my gosh, how many folks in our community that have been enlivened and pointed. I can't even tell you the numbers of folks who have just dived in to this process through the startup committee, through people who have said yes to being allies, to the people who've said, I want to help, how can I help? To the people who have come out of the woodworks and said, I want to be a part of this. People we've not met before, people who were once involved in this community and were gone for a long time and are now back. It's been profound to see the power of love and action moving in this way, in this community.
So tell me what about this Circles, which in a nutshell, you guys, Circles is a really smart process for people to form a circle that is led by someone who wants to move out of poverty. And that circle is made up of all kinds of different volunteers serving in different ways who are really circling around this person. And the circle leader is sort of determining what those needs are and what roles need to be filled, et cetera, et cetera. So that's super nutshell version. But Maddie, I found out recently you have signed up to be involved with Circles. So tell me what rose up in you to make that choice?
Well, I've signed up to be an ally. And an ally is somebody that helps the leader, and the leader is the person getting out of poverty. So I don't know how that looks yet. I know that I love helping people with anything, and I love money, and I love budgeting, and I love keeping track of everything. And I think the first time I started doing people's budgets and paying their bills for them, like just my friends, who couldn't like stay above water, but they made lots of money and they couldn't manage it, was probably, I would say I started when I was maybe 21 or 22.
Wow.
I have been homeless for a time in my life. I have experienced great financial abundance and not so much abundance. And I think when I learned how to manage everything, that I felt very stable. And it was a great feeling that I felt like I had some say in what was happening to me, and I would love to impart that on, other people and to help that and to keep that going. Plus, I'm a big cheerleader type of person, so if I
Yes, you are.
be supportive and say, you've got this, it's going to be great, we've all got you, it's all fine, then I'm super excited about that partnering, and I want to make a difference in people's lives for a long term. Like if we can get someone out of poverty and teach them the skills, then they can change their life and their kids' lives and so on and so on. And we can change the world.
Heck yeah!
So I'm like, I'm on board. I'm ready. So I'm excited.
Yes, Maddie, thank you. So Deborah.
Love it. So when I was in California, I worked for the nonprofit community there, and the last position I held was with a youth organization. And what really excited me about it is that it was all about adult-youth partnership. But central to it was the fact that everything was youth-led. So basically it was all about helping or talking to youth about what's the stuff going on in your community that really isn't working for you, whether it's at school or at home or out in the general community. And so that was so exciting and so invigorating to see young people be able to identify what the problem was, and then us as adults to kind of take a step back and be there as that center of support.
Nice.
And say we have access to policymakers and to the school boards and all of this, and we can get you in where you want to be. to have these conversations.
Yes.
And so it is such an incredible organization, and I ran the county programs there. So when I decided to leave the organization, because they were kind of going into a different expansion thing, and we had decided we were probably going to move, I was really grieving that because I had built relationships with these young people that were just incredible.
Yeah.
And it made me a better mother because I was able to look through the lens of other youth and see my own children.
That's huge.
And it was such a gift. So when I got here and I started working with the center and I heard about the Circles program, I sat in on an informational event that you had on Zoom. And immediately, as soon as I heard that the Circle leaders were the people working their way from poverty, I said, that's it. I was so familiar. It was the same thing as the young people that we worked with. It was like, don't try to prescribe what they need, but empower them in what they want to do. And so I knew I was in right then and there. I mean, it was like a no-brainer. It was like,
I felt the same way.
Yeah. So it was just instantaneous. I got to be involved. And then when I heard about I'm going to also be an ally. So when I heard about the ally role, I got really excited because I'm all about building relationships. And even though I've worked in organizations where I was, a director and I was running things and everything, key to me was having the relationships with people and with those kids, and now with the people that are going to be in the Circles program. I'm really excited because I know that just like the enrichment I got from working with youth, I'm going to get just so much more from working with the people here in the community and getting to know, an individual who really wants to make something happen. So I'm really happy about that.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Scott, Maddie, Deborah. Circles ABQ, you guys, is really what Deborah was just saying, is every single person involved gets to have the experience of transformation. It's not just about the folks coming out of poverty, it's about the circle of everyone involved. And we all get to be uplifted and transformed and changed and gifted through that. I'm so thrilled that we have taken this on as a community. I am so thrilled that Love in Action is happening in this way. And that God always knows what it's doing. And we've been pointed and we've said yes. And let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. We're going.
We're going.
Ernest Holmes also has said, God has already done for us in a mechanical way all that God can do. And having been given the ability, we will have to do the rest ourselves. And what that means to me is God has already taken care of the how. The mechanics of how it will all unfold, already taken care of, already done. What is ours to do is stay grounded and convicted and alive with the love of God. To stay connected in not just our minds, not just in the idea of how to do it, in the idea of what is the next right step, but to stay connected in our whole beings to the love that is moving us in all times and spaces and places. That is what is left to us to do. And so what I know for sure is we are whole beings. We are not just heads. We are not just hearts. We are not just bodies. We are all of it. We are this physical thing. We are this incredible intelligence. And we are the love of God. And when we align ourselves with the wholeness that we are, it is just natural that we then align ourselves with the next right step. That we then align ourselves with being love in action. This is the how. And it's really the only how that we need to busy ourselves with. It's staying connected, staying in alignment, having the courage to follow that lead. Recognizing when we are getting distracted in the figuring it out. Recognizing when we are getting in our own way, recognizing that when fear rises, we're going to meet it and make friends with it and let it go, so that we can continue to be empowered, embodied expressions of love itself. This is our work. This is the story of Circles ABQ. I am so over the moon excited about the way that love is pointing us right now through this work. And I know that each of us is going to find our right place in loving action. And love will continue to point the way. And I know that we will all follow love's lead. And so it is.